You know, if you watch us every morning, you know we are big fans of the show Ted Lasso.
Yes, and that character of Ted Lasso is based on several people in actor Jason Sudeikis' life.
But the single biggest influence on Ted Lasso was this man, Sudeikis' high school basketball coach. His name is Donnie Campbell, and he was kind enough to come in and talk with us this morning. Welcome.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
So nice to meet you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Well, so obviously you made a big impression on Jason Sudeikis. What are your memories of him when he was a kid in high school?
What you see on TV is exactly what he
Really?
was when I coached him.
He said he didn't do homework.
No, he didn't do much homework. I had him in math class. He was more about acting than he was in class as well. But he was a joy to coach. He was a really good basketball player too. I don't think people realize that.
I don't think I knew that.
It was brought out. In fact, now Jason didn't particularly like to play defense. So it was brought out by Jason on a TV morning show that I nicknamed him, and I remember this, I nicknamed him Jason Sudeikis. I took the D out of his name because he didn't particularly like to play defense. He'd rather play offense.
No D.
But, no
I
D.
love it, Coach.
That's hilarious.
That's what he remembers, so okay.
Well, did you have any idea then that you were having the impact on him that you were having on him?
You know, you teach and coach for as many years as I have, you know, you just plant a seed and you hope it grows, right? And with Jason, I think the show, I've learned more from Jason than he ever learned from me, you know, so he's went from the student to the teacher now, and I'm just really proud of him. I really am. I think the show's phenomenal.
It is.
I didn't know anything about it. I found out one day when a colleague of mine saw me walking down and said, hey, there's the famous coach that inspired Jason Sudeikis' new show, Ted Lasso. I didn't know anything about it.
So that was going to be my next question is, you know, obviously you've watched the show, but so he didn't reach out to you and say, hey, I want to base a character kind of on you? Or?
No, I can still remember when I was still coaching, Jason would come to some of my basketball camps in the summer after he graduated, and he was at SNL at that time.
Oh my gosh, and he would come to you.
Yeah, and he would have a little notepad in a pocket, and I'd watch him over there and be watching me coach, and he'd be writing things down.
Look at that.
So, and then, you know, look what happened.
So he said in this article he was writing down your pearls of wisdom. That's what he was. What are some of the pearls of wisdom? Are there any that like come to mind when you either watch Ted Lasso or things that you always say to kids?
Oh, you're putting me on a spot here.
Well, like there are a lot of lines, one-liners. I mean, if you Google Ted Lasso quotes, there's a million of them.
Yeah.
So did you watch the show and think, wait a minute, I said
Be
that.
a goldfish.
Right.
Yeah, I always told the kids, be where your feet are.
Okay.
You know, you can't change what happened behind you. You got to focus on the now. But I think there's a lot better writers on the show than me. but I do. As I watched the show, my wife and I started watching it the first time, and we're sitting there, we're watching the show, and as we're watching, we're binging it, we loved it. As we're watching the show, my wife points up the TV screen and says, yeah, Donnie, that's you.
Wow.
And I didn't see it though, but I did see many of the pearls of wisdom that I taught Jason and his teammates 30 years earlier being applied in a show about a football soccer coach. So
Jason talks a lot about Coach John Wooden. Did Coach John Wooden influence the way that you went about coaching?
He changed me from a transactional coach to a transformational coach, and it came down to when leaders are readers, and I was reading on John Wooden one day, and his definition of success, which is peace of mind, which is direct result and self-satisfaction, knowing you did your best to become the best you're capable of becoming. When I read that, it changed my life. It changed my coaching. I was doing everything backwards. Instead of focusing on developing my players to be really good basketball players, I started developing them to be better people first. And it changed everything. And I was more focused on the player development than winning. But eventually the winning took care of itself.
Wow, that's deep.
And that's Ted Lasso.
Right.
It is.
You are.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it like knowing that your words are inspiring people all over the world? Like I said, I mean, you Google and people print things out, you know, and they put them up. We've had these all over the station. I mean, so it's not just sports that you're inspiring people. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's surreal. It's humbling. I think all of us, the way I was raised, it was always about treating people with respect and kindness. And it's amazing the ripple effect all of us can make by just being kind, by being respectful every day. and that's what I've tried to do in my life. And I was just fortunate enough to coach Jason Sudeikis, and I did feel like I made an impact in his life. And it's humbling to know that people like what you said and are taking some of the pearls of wisdom that I gave the players through the years and using them in their own life. It's pretty cool.
That's an incredible message, and we're just going to leave it with that.
Awesome.
Kindness,
Thank you.
kindness, ripple effects. Donnie, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
It was great
This
to
is
have
an
you here.
honor for me. Sorry, thank you.
All ours.
For us
It's all
too.
ours.